Welcome back to Rockstock Channel. It is Thursday, July 25th, and we are back with the next installment in our Getting to Know You series with an update from Graham Harris, chairman of Surge Battery Metals, who we first profiled on April 17th. Surge Battery Metals trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, ticker symbol NILI, as well as the US OTC, ticker symbol NILIF. Surge is focused on sediment lithium exploration in Nevada and has had some positive exploration success in recent weeks, which we will discuss today. As a reminder, Rodney and I are not strategic advisors to nor invested in Surge Battery Metals, and we are not financial advisors, and nothing in this video should be considered investment advice. Please do your own research and read the disclaimers in this video. But I've known Graham since around 2016, when he was chairman of and RK Equity was a strategic advisor to Millennial Lithium. Millennial developed Pastos Grandes brine project in Argentina to definitive feasibility study and was then acquired by Lithium Americas for over $400 million. Through that experience, I got to know Millennial technical advisors Vijay Mehta and Ian Scar, who are also technical advisors to Surge. Surge Battery Metal stock price today is about 34.5 Canadian cents, down slightly from 41 cents when we recorded in April, in line with the falling lithium price and general bear market sentiment for lithium equities. Surge's market cap is currently 57 million Canadian, or about 42 million US dollars. As of the last quarterly filing, Surge had about 5 million Canadian on the balance sheet. You can follow Surge Battery Metals on X at Surge Battery and also on LinkedIn. You can also find more information and sign up for their email list at their website, surgebatterymetals.com. And don't forget, if you like this video and other Rockstock Channel videos, please subscribe, like, and comment on it, and hit the notification bell to be alerted when future videos are released. And you can follow Rodney and me on X at RodneyHooper13 and at Lithium Ion Bull. And with that, welcome back, Graham Harris, to Rockstock Channel, and Rodney will take it here with the Q&A.
Hey, thanks, Howard. Hey, Rodney.
Hi, Graham. Good to see you again. Lots of good things happening on your end. Since we last chatted to you, you had a few news releases. Bort Longyear was engaged to carry out the 8-hole RC drill hole program for you. But before we get into that, can you just give our viewers a refresher on where the current mineral resource estimate is at?
Yeah, certainly, Rodney. I just want to I just want to say something, preface all that, because I was actually thinking about doing this interview today, just reminiscing to back when I first met Howard in 2016, and he was pounding the table on lithium and lac, and he was crying all the time because nobody was listening to him. And I just had, I was just thinking the other day how similar and how full circle life has become. I feel like you now, Howard. I'm pounding the table on a great asset, a lithium asset, and nobody is listening. And it's, man, I just had deja vu. And hopefully that deja vu will end up being the same deja vu that we had back in 16, 18, where the lithium market turned. And then people started to listen. And that advice you gave them to buy Lithium Americas at 2 and 3 and pounding the table at $4 became a $45 stock. So it was, so good and bad deja vu was what I was feeling all day yesterday, thinking about this.
Graham, don't forget, I was also pounding the table on Millennial Lithium with you and VJ, and that 50 cents to $4. So that was a very positive experience. Directly related.
You were there early. You were there before I was even Millennial. I came to see you because you were already championing. You were the Lithium Bull. That's what you were. You were the Lithium Bull. And then I had a company called Millennial trying to get your attention, and you were pounding the table on lac, and I did get your attention. And I appreciate that. And I have your attention again. So hopefully we have a second round of deja vu, but the good vu. So Rodney, going back, and I'm sorry to digress there, but going back, we've discovered extremely important high-grade lithium asset in Northeast Nevada. It has announced maiden resource of 4.7 million tons of high-grade lithium, about 2,800 ppm, and we're set to expand that. We've just completed our recent drill program, and just 2 days ago, we released the first 4 holes of that drill program.
And before you carried that out, you signed a surface access agreement with the SRCA, the Cattle Association, giving you access to the west and the south. Can you give us a sort of sense of how big and the scale of that area that you got access to?
Yeah, most of the ground is, we have 14,000 acres. 800 acres, sort of in the middle, is controlled by, it's a private land package that the Salmon River people have the surface rights to. And we negotiated, we have 25% of the mineral rights. A company called Evolution Mining in Australia has 75% of the mineral rights on that 800 acres. And that represents about 10% of the overall land package. But what it is, we wanted to get that because we also wanted to go further south. And we've been drilling further south as well. And hopefully we'll get those results out in the next couple of weeks. We haven't seen those yet. But the 4 holes that we drilled on the Salmon River through an access agreement with the Salmon River cattlemen showed that the mineralization continued very strongly on that ground. And it's probably going to go further south as well. So very positive results, and we hope to incorporate those into an updated resource in September.
Okay, September, because that was something I was going to ask. And you, with those assay results for the first 4 holes, important to note that that's private surface land holdings, so not government land. There were some high-grade intercepts. It looks like you've increased the area of the inferred resource by around 43%.
Yeah, that's including the holes further south because, like we stated, we don't have the assay results yet, but we do have indications that we've intersected the mineralized zone, which is the clay horizon, which hosts the high-grade lithium. So we're pretty confident when we intersect this zone, and it's very, very apparent when you're in it. It's a green clay. It stands out when you're drilling, and to date, that green clay zone is the zone that carries the high-grade lithium. So we're confident that the hole to the south will come back with assays, positive assays, and so we said that that will increase the overall strike length by about 43% to over, I think, 4 kilometers. So it's going to be a large resource, and I do want to note too that remember, we've only been drilling under what we call a plan of operation. So even the area to the north, we only drilled it on just off the side of the road. We haven't even gone to the east of the property. I think the resource is only going to get bigger and better over time. But at some point, how much is enough? We already have enough in the maiden resource for a 40-year mine life. Now we're just getting a sillier, bigger number. But it's important because down the road, if somebody was to look at this thing, they're looking at a multi-year mine life, and this deposit certainly has and delivers on that.
And also, Graham, looking at those latest assay results, is there some very high-grade material in there?
Yeah, Rodney, and that's important to note. We've got high-grade material everywhere, but what's really important is that the high-grade material is in the top 100 feet. And that's going to be very important when it comes to, looking at the mining operation. And we are actually in the process right now of doing our PEA, which we hope to release by, December, no later than January of next year. But that's going to have positive implications on the economics. So we're, unlike, most deposits that sort of filter down and erode over time, so the higher grade materials, deeper. This is a bit of an anomaly because our highest grade intersections are basically at surface down to 100 feet. And like I say, that's all over 4,000 ppm. And that's going to be very positive for the economics.
And also another thing I think is important to note here is, and you've mentioned it, is that all of the intercepts are near surface. So if you can just remind the viewers of your planned, low impact mining methodology that you're going to use.
Yeah, we're working through that in the PEA, but basically it's going to be, an open pit, cut and fill. So it's not like you're going to go in there and dig one big massive hole and disturb the whole area at a time. It's more likely you're going to work on 1,000 or 2,000 acres, dig it, process it, backfill it, and move on. So it is very important because it does make it low impact. It's not like you have to dig out a big hole to access the bottom. We can just take the top 100 feet, move on, and then keep doing that and then backfilling, and it does minimize the disturbance for sure.
And you mentioned the PA. You've contracted M3 Engineering. The target date was Q4 2024. I think you just said now December. Is that so? That's all going and on track then.
Everything's on track. The key to that whole program was us getting the drilling done and then getting the resource updated by September so it could be incorporated into the PEA. And we successfully had the drill program. The guys were great, probably the best crew we've ever had. They exited in June and we're getting the results already from the lab. So we're on track to get that resource updated, which we'll announce into the public market in September. And that was the key. That was the main stumbling block, that we needed to get that done so that they could incorporate the updated resource into the PEA.
And then last one from my side, lithium prices continue to be volatile. I guess they always will be, given the nature and structure of the market, limited hedging and so on. So sometimes M&A activity is a better reflection of where the industry is at. Are you seeing continued outside interest in your project?
We're seeing, we're seeing outside interest in terms of investment, not in terms of acquisition. I think we're too early, and honestly, I'm hoping we don't get acquired at this price. There's some of the bigger, longer term players are circling, and I still hope I can bring an investment to the table so that minimize dilution in the company, and that's what we're working hard on. And this is the best in class asset in the US of A. And I do think it's going to be worthy of a strategic to come in and help us fund the next phase of development. And I'm confident if we get any pulse in the lithium market. You say it's volatile. I wish it was volatile, because that would mean it would back up, but it just seems to be sitting down here in the toilet. So it's very interesting to me, because I speak to a lot of people, and you've been in this business a long time too, and nobody can tell me the end game of where the domestic supply is coming from 2030 on. It seems like everybody just thinks it's going to magically appear from somewhere. But the longer the market sits here, the worse it's going to get in terms of supply, because new projects are getting delayed, projects aren't getting funded, investments aren't being made. So the supply, I don't know where the supply is going to come from that's going to meet the demand that's coming. So it's interesting, and I'm hoping we don't see what we did again, which was the rise from 10,000 to 80,000 in the lithium price, because nobody was preparing for the supply 5 years out in 2017, 18, and I just think it's going to happen again, and that doesn't help, because we don't need such volatility in the lithium price. We need something a little more stable for projects to for investors and everybody in the market to have a better handle on the supply side.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that there's a lot of reliance now being put on China and China-linked sources for lithium, and if you look at some of the low-grade lepidolite operations and so on, enormous amount of waste and touch and go. So these things can change, and you're right. If they implode, then it has a huge repercussions and bigger than what we've had in the past. But we'll see. But you certainly, with your latest drill results, where they're located near surface and the grades are very much, the best that's out there in your asset class, or in your supply, area. So that's the best you can do, is just keep delivering on that. Howard?
Graham, I wanted to just ask, so U.S. politics is very much in the fore. I don't know if you've been to Washington at all, or at any of the recent conferences, but if you can comment at all on any dialogues you're having, because obviously Thacker Pass is still waiting to get funding, but it's tumultuous. Trump, Kamala Harris, just like it's a very volatile political time and commentary. So just curious to hear if you have any insights there.
Yeah, Howard, I agree. It's very tumultuous. We have made inroads. We've engaged consultants in Washington, and what everybody has said, and Rodney, you touched on this thing about China, but what everybody has said to us, it's all about jobs, 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 and it doesn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat. You want jobs in your state, and these types of projects give good, high-paying jobs. And the governor of Nevada is a big proponent of the industry, and he's certainly helpful. But we are watching very closely. So we are unfortunately tied to Thacker Pass, because if that doesn't work, who's to say that our project would work? We point to Thacker Pass as being the flagship. We are using the same flow sheet as Thacker Pass. What I'm hoping with our PEA is that we'll prove that what I've always said is that this is a better asset than Thacker Pass, because it's higher grade, and that's going to hopefully enhance our economics versus theirs. And I'll prove that with the PEA in December. But politics aside, if Republican, we all know how the Republicans feel about China. Tariff, tariff, tariff. So that's why I was alluding earlier to domestic supply, because I don't think, and now even with the Democratic side pushing the Inflation Reduction Act and pushing domestic production and consumption, either party that gets in, it's the same result the way we look at it. And again, it's all about jobs and job creation, and that's what this industry can deliver.
Okay, great. So yeah, we have the Democrat National Convention coming, and we'll see what happens there. It looked like, a week or two ago, Trump for sure was going to win, and now it's less certain. I think under Harris, it'll be a continuation of the strongly supportive kind of EV policies. But even under Trump, with his romance with Elon Musk, I think he's tempering his anti-EV rhetoric. So we'll see. I think both parties are very much focused on domestic supply, and decoupling from China in that respect. So, and there's a lot of knowledge now within Washington about sediment deposits in Nevada, given, the first mover, Thacker Pass, dialogues there. So, all right, you're still early. I agree with you. It was, when was Millennial sold?
22.
Okay. And we started working in 2016
Yeah.
together, from a 50 million market cap to 400 million market cap. And that's a constant reminder. I've been doing lithium for 15 years, that most of my successes took 5 to 6 years. And in the super boom, 80,000 lithium price, where lots of companies 10 bagged in like 1-2 years, that's not the norm. So it's grind it out like most other commodities. But, proven management, good jurisdiction, good quality assets tend to win. So that's what we're bringing here to Rockstock Channel. Again, not advisors directly or invested in Surge, but we are, connecting with good quality managements who we know for a long time and have interesting projects, and we know a number of our viewers care about. So thanks a lot, Graham, for this update, and look forward to continuing to follow your news flow and have you back on sometime in the fall.
Yeah, great. Like I said, the updated resource hopefully in September, and let's chat again then and see where we got to.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.